Welcome back to the Rising of the Shield Hero Anime Review Episode 14. This is discussing episode number 34, Humming Fairy. This one adapts mostly, and it goes to start chapter 7, it stops chapter 12, but a lot of these chapters don't get full adaptation. Yes, in the case of chapter 7, it looks like they adapt like the beginning of the chapter, but the stuff we're talking about, the Legend of the Waves, that's completely excised in this episode. They'll probably save it for a future episode per se, and they also rearrange some scenes per se, move a conversation later, have another character give another character's name because there's a new character up this episode, and they kind of move a scene around where it happens in their place and there's nobody around him. So, this episode picks up not long after the events of last week's episode, where Raphtalia is basically stuck with Kaio's group. And, of course, Naofumi wants to go back together. He doesn't care if it's a trap. He really wants to go get her. And they can't because it's been locked off. So, lucky enough, they arrive in the very country she was summoned to. And, of course, they are very happy. And, of course, people that are very happy to see her, the fact she's been freed. And of course, reunites everybody, and of course, he introduces everybody, him from another world, which they're surprised at, and the fact he wants to destroy the world. Now, as for why in the world this is explained in the episode. No, it's just basically brought up once in conversation. It's like this was meant to be brought up in the episode, but it's like they dropped this. Like, after it's brought up once or twice after this particular scene, and they're brought up again. And of course, right afterwards, they run into a brand new character named Elephant. Yes, he is a brand new character they just introduced in this very episode. Yeah, his name is Elephant. He is the boat hero. Yes, seriously, that is his thing. He is a boat hero. And apparently, yeah, it's revealed like right after a conversation he has with Naofumi that he is in fact a rabbit. Yes, seriously. Of course, they explain something later. Of course, they summon this thing called. Of course, he gives back Kasuna her Shingumi, which visually you can see it's a freaking penguin. And here's something kind of odd though. I get Rishin probably not know what this creature is, like appearance wise. I'm like, couldn't Naofumi point out, hey, it's a penguin, and he's a rabbit. So they basically create a brand new character this episode. Yep. Now they do have the first appearance of the character of Chris. Now in the book, basically, now this is something they cut from the episode of how in the world Chris got her name. Chris is named after Christmas. Yep. And this is the episode's also debut of Ralph-chan, which in the book, it was Naofumi who gave this creature its name. In the episode, it was Philo. I'll get to her. Yeah, apparently we find Philo where she apparently ended up with some guy who runs a sideshow, and he's basically torturing her for the pleasure of the audience. And apparently she has transformed into Philo, like basically her normal creature form. It's like she transformed into a small bird. I'm like, what the heck happened to her? She's like shrunk. She's tiny. Yeah, it's great to see Philo again. My guess is the reason why they decided to have Philo come back here and have Raphtalia leave last episode, but the new show at the end of the episode gets that. So, right after they go and find, they pretty much find, they go to the town and they basically find Philo, like looking for Philo and Raphtalia. They search for them, like, oh, maybe Raphtalia's over here. Like, oh wait, I hear something. He runs over and he finds Philo. Finds her pretty quickly. And of course, they sneak at Brick of Night. He basically finds her pretty quickly because of her voice. And of course, she's so happy to see Nafumi. And of course, then comes the guy who runs the show. And then he proceeds to torture him. In the book, he actually put shield prison on him. In the anime, he used a different shield on him. Not the shield prison, surprisingly. No, it's like they basically broke him. And of course, they do bring up in the book that in the episode, they kind of brings up in the book too, that he mentions this during the course of the book. My guess is the reason why they cut that scene, time. But at least they mention exactly what the heck he freaking said. Because you have this moment, like, okay, what did he say? That he's the son of a local family, and he basically fell from heaven, like, she fell from heaven. Basically, a lot of stuff he said, that is from the book too. But in the book, basically, it's not like later. Now, I get the reason why they cut this scene. Because even though it's not necessarily important to keep it, but the dialogue had to be kept. But they have dialogue spoken by Keisha in the episode. And of course, Philo is constantly near Nafumi. Apparently, her human form, she's still the same size, but she shrunk as a bird. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. And then right after that, they go to town. They find some wanted posters, because apparently it's wanted for stealing the show, even though Philo is hers. And then something weird happens with Raphtalia's stats, where apparently that she's still alive because Ralph-chan basically is still there. But apparently her slave mark disappearing. And they also bring up something about the Katana Hero escaping, and you're probably thinking, the Katana Hero? Yes, the Katana Hero. This becomes very important. Oh yes, the Katana Hero. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Like, yeah, because this becomes very important when it comes to the katana. Mm-hmm. Because they bring it up like the Katana Hero's escaped. Who is the Katana Hero per se? At this point, not really known per se. But it looks like they're gonna bring this up, which I do appreciate the fact they're gonna bring it up. Mm-hmm. So this is going to become quite interesting. We see her at the end of the episode. She's hauled off a cart someplace, and of course the guard looks at her, and he's like scared, and brings her to a feudal era Japan castle. What is this castle for? We'll find out next week. But damn good episode. Yes, this episode does cut a lot more than usual, but they probably cut a lot of this up because basically it's not necessary per se. But maybe, and this is my person, I think they might save this if they cut from this episode, probably for either director's cut per se, or, this is another thing, they can do an entire OVA basically explaining the whole world history of the heroes. I thought it was kind of quite weird. Now, the thing they changed here is that Ephraim, the guy who debuted in this episode, he actually appeared the very next day, not the very same day that they show up in the castle. Also, you first see him in the anime, he's by himself. The picture seen in the book, he actually is surrounded by a group of people. Yeah, my guess is they probably wouldn't move him like by himself, like very quiet, not surrounded by stuff. But yeah, damn good episode. I don't mind the changes. I think the only thing that I kind of was bothered by Though I could definitely understand why they cut this. The whole thing with the Ledge of the Heroes, their backstory. I get the reason why, because they need to move the plot along. They need to keep moving along, try to complete this particular arc, and just basically not drag this on for as long as people probably think they probably could drag on for. But it's probably cut for pacing. Yes, they probably want to basically move as quickly as possible. But because they got to chapter 12, there's not much left to go for the book. No. There is roughly about 5 chapters left. And here's the thing, for the season. There is, like, after this, with this week's episode, there's only 4 episodes left to air for the entire season. I do know there's season 2 coming. Not season 2, I know season 3 is coming. Here's the thing. Unknown exactly when in the world we're going to get season 3. Like, as far as I can tell, there has been no immediate announcement. Now, we know season 3 is coming. When in the world it's coming? The date for it, okay, so apparently it's going to include June 29th. Okay. Okay, that kind of makes sense. The fact that basically they would say, oh yeah, the fact is it's going to include June 29th, which is basically the last week of this month. Yeah, that definitely does make sense. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's pretty much when they're going to end this season. Mm-hmm. But hopefully, and this is my real hope, they don't wait over 2 years to finally air the very next season. I hope they don't. Yes, I really hope they don't. Now, in the case of whenever they do a 3rd season of the show, which I know that's coming. Now, do I think they'll get a chance to get to book 9 this season? I think they might start it. I don't think they'll finish it per se. No. I think they might save basically the book for maybe next season. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think basically they could be adapting book 10 for the next season. It's possible. Mm-hmm. But I think in the case of this season, they're probably going to finish. Now, with only 5 chapters left to go, they might have the season end with book 8. And they probably have next season probably start with book 9, book 10, and maybe to get book 11. But who knows? It all depends upon the studio. Yes. It's basically their building arc. That's pretty much the very next arc per se. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is roughly takes up 2 books. So yeah, I do think so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're curious though, 12 and 13 are just standalone books. Yeah, I don't think there's actually an arc for those books. No, I think they're just, I say they look like they're Fallen Heroes and Justice. Basically, you have 2 arcs covered in one book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically one arc. Basically, that arc per se. But I do think basically we're going to get that next arc adapted for next season. Okay, so that's going to be a particular view. I thought we had time to watch Super Sentai, but no time. It's already almost 10:30, so I'm probably going to watch that tomorrow. Hopefully. I'll probably watch it a little bit later, episode 32. Mm-hmm. So, looks like for the next episode of Super Sentai will air tomorrow. And if I get time, I might do Skeleton Night in the World tomorrow. If not, save for Friday. Yep. Alright, to the next video. Bye.